up, guys? Welcome back to the podcast. This is Byron Lazine, and for the second time on my podcast, I think you're the first repeat guest of all time. We've got Tom Toole here. Our first podcast that we did together, I think, was in August because it was right at the Tom Ferry Summit in Anaheim, so it was definitely August. And here we are in New York getting ready for Sales Edge tomorrow. I think you're jumping on. What's your panel going to be on tomorrow?
So if I sat here and told you I knew exactly what it was on, I'd be lying to you. But what I do know is that I am on.
It's going to be the best panel.
It's about, I don't know about that, but it's about prospecting is what I've been told. Okay. So something right in my wheelhouse there.
So if you're not familiar with Tom, definitely look him up. We're going to link up his YouTube channel in the description here if you're on YouTube. I guess if you're on Facebook, you're just going to have to Google that. What is the YouTube channel?
Tom Toole.
Okay, we're linking it up. Tom Toole is how you're going to search it. But Tom's the guy who has massive numbers in this industry. He also speaks at a lot of panels, a lot of different events, gets out there, goes to a lot of different conferences. So really, and a good friend of mine. So pumped that we're able to do this. Every time we get together, we talk a lot anyways. We're always kind of talking about what's happening in the industry, like these big changes. Even since we did this podcast, a lot has changed since August, since the last time we sat down and did one of these.
Yeah, before we started filming here and recording, we were thinking, what are the biggest stories in real estate right now? And one of them is the amount of tech money coming in to these acquisitions. And it's literally like every week somebody's buying somebody. There's a merger. I mean, and there's all these changes happening, as well as a lot of movement from agents between brokerages, not the lower level people, but like A players and I'm kind of surprised it's happened, and it's really accelerated since we last did the podcast back in August.
Yeah, clearly the biggest acquisition as of late is the Contactually acquisition, $50 million, or it could be more, certainly. I want to pick your brain on a couple of the main bullet points that people keep talking about on the Contactually acquisition. One being agents that are nervous, that are using Contactually, that all of a sudden Compass is going to steal all their leads and start marketing to their past clients. What's your take on that?
So there's no way that's going to happen. I mean, or the company's out of business. I mean, that's that. I think it's a natural fear for a lot of agents to feel that way because they're saying, wow, why is my service being bought by somebody else? But the reality is there's a lot of services that are shared across platforms. Berkshire Hathaway CEO came out and said, hey, we've been developing something and other people use it as well. I don't remember the piece of tech because there's so many of them out there. There's no way. I mean, they have terms of service. They have contracts. It'd be a massive lawsuit. Yeah. I mean, sure, could it happen? Absolutely. Do I think it's going to happen? Not even close.
I mean, to me, that was a ridiculous one. Just really the emotions of like, oh my gosh, because maybe Compass has moved into, that market, the agent that's, pissed off about that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. They've taken agents and so on and so forth. So I'm not worried about that. I use Contactually. I really like it. I like it a lot. I think it's really user friendly. It sucks data out of your email and out of your phone, which is I think it's really good. And even if Compass was gonna be really shady and start stealing the contacts, it's like, okay, I'm actually one of the people that uses my CRM, so I'm not worried about it in the sense because I'm touching my clients, I'm talking to them, I'm making the calls. What about Compass fronting as this huge tech company, tech first? We're a tech company before we're real estate, and then going out and buying a CRM.
Well, that was the part I found kind of interesting because right now all they talk about is our tech is great. I know people that work at Compass in the tech department, and they're trying to sell me on it. And I said, you know what, I'm pretty sure I got my tech for my team under control. But then they go and buy something, so why wouldn't they develop their own if they're that tech savvy? And then you get Keller Williams telling everyone they have AI. I mean, their version of AI is like Siri for real estate, not AI like the movie or that sort of stuff. So there's so much being
AI
thrown
is
around.
not at scale in real estate.
It's not. I mean, it's
not even close.
It's no different than the Alexa Flash. I don't even know what it's called.
Like we have for the 5 a.m. call.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
We have an Alexa skill.
That's it. Okay.
And that is technically a form of AI, or we have an Alexa flash briefing. Actually, not a skill. A skill on a flash briefing is basically a form of AI. I think a lower level form, but right? And so when people hear the catchword AI, they're thinking a lot of times, some type of virtual walkthrough of a space or a model home or whatever. That is not at scale anywhere with any brokerage in real estate.
It's no different than these these autoresponders that are out there for leads
Yeah.
to come in. I mean, it's a level. It's just so broadly defined right now. When people say AI, they're saying it to get people talking about it, which is good for, hey, we're talking about it, right?
Absolutely.
So obviously it worked on that level. With tech and real estate, I'm clear that it's like the new recruiting pitch.
Yeah,
Like,
you mentioned that earlier. I think that's a good call.
because everyone's saying we got the best tech. Well, the reality is RE/MAX has the same tech that Coldwell Banker does, that Keller Williams does, that Compass, whoever. Maybe one's a little better than the other, but how much better could it really be?
And you're a RE/MAX agent, by the way.
Yeah,
So
and-
you're not sitting here talking about.
And RE/MAX isn't really. I mean, I couldn't even tell you what like their recommended stuff is. I'm a Boomtown user. That's third party, no affiliation, and we're way too deep in it now to change. I mean, there's so much. Once you adapt to CRM, it's hard to make a change like that.
What's your thoughts on that? Because you and I both know real estate is going to change a lot over the next 10, 20 years, 5 years even.
Mm-hmm.
And you just said it, you're so deep in Boomtown. Is there an easy way for you to escape if there's an obvious better option? Right now, I would say there's not an obvious better option, but what if one becomes the better option?
I mean, you can get out. I mean, I think it's when I say it's
It's
too,
a lot of work
it's
for
too
you.
deep. Well, it's not only just learning the systems, one, right? Because it's always easier to use the system you know. Like we changed from DocuSign to Dot Loop, and that was a little painful, but it was so much better and it integrated. We didn't have to have 10 logins. We only had to have like 8, which is to me helpful, and to our agents helpful. So in that regard, we can get out, but then you got to train everyone.
Yeah.
Our team's bigger than it was when we adopted Boomtown. So the training, the time spent there, I'm looking at, we could be selling houses during that time. So maybe that's where I'm not a great person to talk to, but you can definitely get out. I just don't, something would have to be dramatically better for me to make a
Game
move.
changer.
That's my point, because otherwise they're all pretty much the same.
We have FirePoint, which the founders of FirePoint basically left Boomtown to start FirePoint and kind of ripped off what they were doing. And we got into FirePoint because the price point at the time was so juicy. It was like, yeah, okay, great. And you have a lot of the same things. And then what did they do? They just brought the price now basically up to where Boomtown is. And it's like, I should have bit the bullet in the beginning.
Yeah. I mean, and
they're pretty good too. But yeah, to your point, would I shift over to Boomtown? No, because it's more of a lateral move, and you wouldn't shift out of Boomtown to FirePoint or to Sync or any of these other, website CRMs, unless something just becomes so obvious that you have to, and everybody's killing it in this current system.
And sometimes, I mean, we recently switched a platform that we use for some lead follow-up, and everyone was telling me it was great. I think it sucks. It hasn't done anything for us. We should have just stuck what we had the first time. I mean, you don't really know what's going to happen until you use it, because just because it works for someone doesn't mean it works for somebody else. And every team's different. We call, text, email a lot. We have drips you can put people on. Maybe we don't need that super crazy high-end lead follow-up piece. We could do something that's a little simpler.
So I don't find, and I know you mentioned it earlier, like that's the new recruiting pitch, the tech thing. And it probably certainly is a recruiting pitch to get them hooked in, and then they finally get in the door. But once they get in and realize, oh, I've actually got to work all the tech. Like I've got to be the one that works the CRM. I've got to be the one doing all this. So as that phase kind of passes on, what's going to be the pitch to recruit agents? I think I know what it is, but I'd love to hear kind of your thoughts on how you should be recruiting agents, especially if you're a team and it's not tech-based. What should be your pitch to recruit agents?
So, I mean, I always go back to the basics. That's been a theme for our team this year. And some of the people that haven't worked out, they didn't want to commit to those basics, which is showing up and making calls every day and doing role play and doing it together and hearing each other and even covering for each other a little bit. Coming to events like we're at right now, where it's a 3-day sales skill seminar, people think you can just get on the phone and set appointments. Right. It is way tougher doing that than it is adopting a new piece of tech. There is no question. And now that the market's not as good as it was the past 5 years, those people that don't spend time on their skills, they're going to get put out of business, or they're going to lose market share.
I think actually showing an agent what you're talking about, that we've got real training in here. We've got real things happening inside of our doors to help you get to the next level. Absolutely. But then the other big one that I believe in a lot, and certainly I even see, I think it was maybe it was a Rheology brand. Somebody started this way where they did a marketing concierge. It was a Rheology brand, Coldwell Banker.
Mm-hmm.
I see giving them the keys to their personal brand as really the way to recruit agents over this next 5-year window, certainly as the market continues to soften, because if they can build personal brand over the next 5 years, that's planting a seed that's going to grow for the next 20.
Well, we're doing the same thing where we're sitting here doing a podcast, right? So instead of just having our video shows that we do for our team and everything else, just it's never been just about me, but we have our other agents in there. We're showcasing them because that's the people the consumer's working with. So if they don't have the right amount of Zillow reviews and they can't go online and see some video work from them and build up their personal brand, like we know how to do it. It's documented. It's proven. They're not going to be able to continue to grow their business because the longer you work, there's more business that comes from different areas. And a lot of it's, this is all part of an online resume.
And you and we're going to try to hack the system. One, we don't get a lot of time where we're hanging out together.
That is
so
true.
You and I are going to try to always hack the system of okay, we're going to have this conversation anyways. We might as well record it.
Exactly.
And put it out there as a piece of content. I don't think enough agents, whether you're, building a personal brand or just focus on community brand or whatever, are doing enough of that. How can I take the time that I'm going to spend somewhere anyway, record it, and distribute as content?
It's, that's the game right now. It's document, don't create. We have these conversations all the time. You go through our text string, there's maybe a couple jokes in there, some sports talk, and then it's real estate. And that's the majority of it. And kind of to your point, where I'll take it one step further, where some of this training needs to happen. Not enough agents are doing these, hey, I've got a hot buyer video in your neighborhood.
Yeah, are you doing a lot of those? We're not doing enough of them.
We're not doing enough of them, but we're doing some. And part of it is, I'm not working with all these people, so I've got to train our other people to do it. But every time they do one, they get better, they get more confident, and they want to do it again and again. And open house videos, those same things, those quick minute-long things you can advertise.
Yeah.
There is no better way to get people to feel like they can trust you if they hear what you're talking about and you're appearing in front of them consistently.
Yeah, I was talking to Lee, he's back over here on our team in Connecticut, about some of the live videos. There you go, Lee. And nobody can see you from over here, but anyways.
From behind the curtain.
I can see you. Doing a lot of these live videos on his Facebook personal page.
Personal.
And
it's got to be personal.
And people are saying, hey, love what you're doing. You're putting out content all the time. And I told him, I said, this is going to get you massive referrals, because all these people that see your video week after week, it is going to be the repetition of them seeing you talk about real estate. And the minute they're at a group of friends and they're all having coffee and they're all having drinks and somebody says, I want to sell my house, it's going to just naturally flow out of their mouth if they've been watching your videos. Hey, you got to talk to Lee. You should call Lee, because they've seen you time and time again.
Delivering value. That's the difference.
Exactly.
I see so many agents.
Got to deliver value.
They have freaking memes up. Of hey, you should have some stupid joke. They have hey, great news. I just sold 5 houses today. Nobody cares about that.
Yeah.
They want to know what you know about the real estate market and how you can deliver value. And the more information you can share with the consumer, the more they're going to trust you.
I'm a massive fan, and he's a friend of mine, of The Broke Agent.
So our Tool Time show, we've talked about his book this week, so I'm pretty excited about it.
I was supposed to review his book on The Real Word, and I never read it, so I didn't get around to the review.
Our question was, would you read it? That was or are you going to buy it? I think was the better one.
But he's a really good friend. He's a great guy. My point about this is, there are a lot of agents, when you said memes, there are a lot of agents taking his memes and reposting them about, it's a way he's putting out content for an agents to let off steam on the frustration of the deals.
Is the real estate community, not the consumers. And then when you do that, you make light of the struggles that they are having.
And then the consumer gets pissed. That's not a good way to produce content.
Like the Bird Box one, everyone posted that thing. What it's like when you don't know what's going on in a transaction.
Yeah.
You know what? It's not like Bird Box. You're pissed off. You're upset. You feel like you're spending a lot of money, and you don't know what you're doing, and you're going through a ton of anxiety. You don't have some monster trying to kill you. So it's insane to me how light people make of the situation, because the customer deserves better from all those people that think it's a big joke.
And they don't think it's a big joke. They're spending all their money at times, or a large percentage of their savings.
Biggest purchase they're making, or one of their biggest purchases. Yeah, it's stressful buying and selling a home, and when you treat it that way, people aren't. I mean, the sophisticated people, or even the regular consumer, they're going to say, well, this is a joke to them. What's it going to be like when I actually buy or sell a house?
So I don't know if you've dug into it at all. Shifting gears a little bit, that lawsuit, that class action lawsuit.
Yes, I did see that.
Any thoughts on that? So what I'm talking about is there's a seller who...
The guy's from Minnesota, right?
He's from Minnesota, put together a class action lawsuit against 4 of the biggest brokerages in the country, as well as NAR. So it was Keller Williams. It was, I think Remax was in the in the lawsuit, BHHS, and somebody else, and then NAR. Alleging that basically the whole thing's a racket, he's saying, the whole real estate industry, that agents are forcing sellers to pay a buyer broker. And so he wants to do this class action lawsuit, go back 4 years, and recollect buyer commissions, which would be basically insane. It'd be billions of dollars, and give them back to sellers.
It'd be pretty crazy if that actually happened. So what he's eliminating from the lawsuit is that when you have all the buyer agents bring their clients through, it usually helps you get a better price for your home. I mean, I don't think there's any question about that. There's tons of documentation. You look at Keeping Current Matters, some of these other places. And secondly, no one's forcing them to sign the contract. This is something people do. When a contract gets signed, I mean, I don't know what you do. I'm like, hey, here's what we're going to pay the other agent. Very clear.
We tell them extremely clear what the commission is in total.
Yes.
And then what the commission split is in terms of buyer broker and listing broker.
Agent, or listing broker, So to me, I mean, there is an epidemic right now in our entire country where nobody reads anything they sign, and that is
especially with e-signing.
Well, and some agents don't explain it. They say, "Hey, I sent you the docs. Call me if you got any questions." So they don't walk them through the contract or say, "Hey, I mean, I send the contracts before I meet with somebody. I tell them to read through them, and then we kind of go over them again."
Yep.
But people don't read anything they sign, and then they're shocked when they find out what's in there. And I'm not saying this happened to this guy, but if you did not participate with agents working with buyers, because buyers, they want agents working with them, because this is, you go to into a divorce. You're not hiring your wife's divorce attorney, right? I mean, seriously. So it's a good point. Well, but the whole reason buyer agency came about was to protect the buyers, and this guy had to buy the home at some point. He didn't file the suit then, so it's pretty one-sided. I mean, again, I think there's like 6 law firms working on it or something.
And for sure, buyers are going to pay more or theoretically overpay for a property in in an environment where they're not paying their agent, their broker directly, right?
Yeah.
So they feel like they've got more money to spend, and they're not calculating it by a certain percentage, and you may get them to pay double what you would pay a buyer broker.
So
what that split is.
What's your average sale price in your market?
In our market, the certain towns range from either like, $250 the price point in America, but all the way up to like $400. Our average sale on our team is $400,000.
Okay, so that's higher than ours. Ours is about $330. So let's say it's $300, right?
Okay.
To like appeal to the whole country. And a normal, not to talk about commissions, that's a big no-no. That's not what I'm doing. But a normal commission could be anywhere from 2.5%, 3%. If you want to call anything.
Could be, yeah.
It could be, maybe not. I don't know. So
should we say 2.5 gummy bears?
Yeah, so let's say 2.5 gummy bears, right? So you have 2.5 gummy bears, but if your down payment is, you're putting 20% down on that $300,000 home, so you need $60K, and then you come up with an additional 2.5 gummy bears, that's going to affect directly what you pay for the home, because the down payment's pretty fixed, but then you got closing costs and everything else. So they're going to say, well, we don't have enough down money anymore. So it comes out of the down money that's going to drop the price. I mean, this is a simple mathematical equation here.
There would be far less people approved for the homes that they want to buy, right? They might be approved at a lower number, but they're not going to move into that house.
Because their cash to
they're
close is
keep
going to be
renting.
less. It's going to be more, which is going to cause them, the 20% or 10% or whatever. I could sit down and break down the math. I think we've gotten our point across.
I absolutely understand what you're saying. Right? Certainly, FHA loans, you put down 3.5%, right? So a lot of people are maxing out what they can put down.
They're literally coming and they're saying, I only have this 3.5% to put down, and they're financing all their closing costs. So at a starter level home, that's a lot of times where the deals are coming from, or it's 5% down or something like that. If you have to start adding on these additional fees, they're going to have to get paid out of pocket. I mean, that money's got to show up at settlement. You can't finance this.
So the one segue from this, and I think the lawsuit's a complete racket. If we were on the real word, I would definitely classify that as
is it like a tennis racket? Do you guys play badminton over there?
That is it's a racket missing like all of the strings and everything in it. It's just a joke. But segueing off that a little bit, if you had to fight the case for the average agent, the value of a buyer's agent, right? If you were the average agent, what would you do to sell your value as representing a buyer? Like, what's your pitch? Because we know that the average agent right now, taking buyers out, is literally collecting the list from their client and getting lockbox codes and opening doors. And then, to your point, sending them a contract that they're never going to read and they're going to e-sign. So how should those agents position themselves when they're, we know how to position ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. And certainly if you're a successful listing agent, you've got your game down on pitching your value from the listing side. But the average buyer agent that just works, 10 to 20 buyers a year, whatever it is.
So one is understanding of how the process works, because a lot of people think you just get in the car, you look at houses, you pick one, and then amazing, you're in the house.
Amazing things happen.
They don't know things, and we're in different states, so this might not apply, but they don't know deposit money requirements, time frames to complete inspections, response time for negotiating inspections, how much time you have to file a mortgage application, what lenders not to talk to when you're getting a mortgage, what lenders you want to talk to. So understanding how the process works and walking them through, hey, here's how we get from this meeting today to buying on your home. Here's the big steps. I want to walk you through this and make sure you understand, and here's some hacks. Another skill is navigating the market and negotiating offers.
That's the big one.
I mean, there's no question here. I got a call yesterday from, it was like a fourth degree referral something, and the kids went out, didn't talk to their dad, and used a friend, and the dad's like, what the heck are you doing? You should have called myself. Well, I've done a couple of transactions with the family, and it was whatever. That's not the point. They said, we're in a multiple offer situation. We're getting no guidance on what to do. And because I believe in helping people, I said, here's what I would tell them. And if this works out, great. And if not, why don't we maybe set up a call where we could actually talk about how we could help them? Because the deadline was like 4 o'clock yesterday. Got to love the Sunday deadlines. I mean, just nonsense. But that's the market that we're in. And if you don't know, okay, well, what do you do in this multiple offer situation? How do you ask the right questions? How do you get as much intel as possible? That, to me, that's how you win every time, because your goal is to get them the house.
I think it's absolutely about understanding how to get the deal done in a negotiation. And if you can market that as being your ability and separating yourself from the pack who's just opening doors, you're going to get more buyers. And you're going to get buyers that are like, you're worth every penny of what you're getting paid. And I would even consider, as a buyer, I know the seller's possibly paying your commission, but I would even consider doing that as a buyer, because when you negotiate and navigate these, whatever it's multiple offers or whatever, these situations,
or like a short sale, I mean, totally different kind of negotiation, but you got to know how to handle that.
You've put money in their pocket. If you've gotten your buyer a short sale and been able to navigate, obviously the seller's needs, but also the bank's approval on you getting the deal, you definitely put instant equity into your buyer's pocket. Mm-hmm. And that's when you're worth every single penny.
Well, and how often, if someone says, I want to live on this street in this part of town, you may only get one shot at that for 6 to 12 months. Yep. Maybe, and depending on where it is. And so, it's knowing how to negotiate or having the backup behind that person to help them. So, like someone joining a team, hey, you know what? Maybe it's my first or second one, but I know who I can call, and they can tell me what to do or give me the advice, and then I can handle it. That's where the value is, because buying a home it's tough being a buyer right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it especially if you're in that bread and butter, move up or trade up sort of market where it gets premium luxury different. I mean, the market's operating a little differently up there, but even then, you have to know okay, the market's softer at the premium luxury level right now. This is documented. Here's how we need to approach this.
And I like what you said there. The smart team players are absolutely using that line. Like, hey, I've been in this situation twice. Got somebody on the team that's been in this situation 25 plus times. The same exact situation that you're in right now. Let me get the information and help you figure this out. 100%.
And people would rather hear you say that than give them some BS excuse, or you tell them what you think is right, and then it costs them the house.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's wrap this thing up. I know you're going. What are you, Peloton biking tonight?
Yeah. Well, our buddy Scott Compa, CEO of Peloton.
This is CEO. Is it Peloton?
It's Peloton. You got
All
the
right,
Tom Ferry pronunciation. He says Peloton as well.
He does. I'm sorry. Well, I've only been on the bike once. I'm going to join you guys tomorrow morning.
You're gonna get yelled at this time by the instructor.
I believe I will. Because
Slow down, boss man.
I've got it all figured out now. I got the gimmicks down. I got the tricks.
It was
figured out.
I got a kick out of it.
No, it's pretty intense. Let's wrap this up this way, because we are going to Sales Edge tomorrow. We're going to be here for 3 days. How many times have you been to Sales Edge?
I want to say this is my 5th time being here.
I think this is my 4th. I was telling these guys this morning. I think it's my 4th
I'm much happier
time.
It's not in Secaucus, New Jersey. Let me tell you. I've been there. That's Brooklyn, major upgrade.
Yeah, this is an upgrade from New Jersey. I didn't mind like Massachusetts, because you have less traffic and all that kind of stuff. But I'm totally cool. Anywhere I can drive, I'm totally cool, because we can do cool stuff like this.
I didn't have to drive, but I also didn't have to take a plane.
Yeah, I could have taken the train.
Train. It was pretty easy.
But okay, so this is your 5th time. This is my 4th time. Why are you back to the same conference? It's the same exact content, basically, except the panels will be different. There'll be a little bit of different content.
There's been a couple changes, but same idea.
Overall, same idea. Why are you back at something for the 5th time?
I'm trying to build a dynasty. Dynasties do things more than 2 or 3 times. And all kidding aside,
that's a great line.
We are so committed to our skills at our team, and now it's not just about me. I don't know anyone that can effectively lead a team and say, "Hey, you guys should go to this conference," but I'm not. That just doesn't compute for me. So we look for everyone to go once a year to stay sharp, because it's one thing to role play and do all that stuff every day. Coming here will change the way you approach your business.
I told these guys,
best Tom Ferry event of the year, better than Summit. I've told Tom this myself on record. This is the one you need to go to.
Yeah, if you're thinking about any Tom Ferry event and Sales Edge is coming to your area, I would definitely jump on it. But like I told everybody that's coming here for the first time on my team, I said these 3 days will put you in advance 3 months into the future. All the role playing that we do on a daily basis, you're not going to get this type of impact in a short spurt. And it's the repetition, right? Like, you've got professional athletes that have been shooting free throws since they were 5 years old, still taking 2 hours before game, 82 games a year to shoot free throws, shooting free throws at practice. The repetition so that when the lights turn on, you're ready to go.
It's muscle memory. I mean, and the reality is everyone gets like objections to the big thing people are scared of. There's like 10 of them.
Yeah.
And
when you boil it all down.
If you know how to do that and you can hear it, and people almost give them to you verbatim every time. And if you can get that and you hear that, instead of getting scared, you're like, I got this. I'm going to schedule an appointment. Because all an objection is, it's a gift, right? But it's someone saying, I want to do business with you. I need to get some questions answered.
The best quote in real estate history came on a 5 a.m. call. If you're not familiar with 5 a.m. call, go to 5amcall.com and check it out and sign up and listen to the podcast and all that good stuff. But Tom says objections are a gift. They're something beautiful.
And the beautiful part I added in, the gift thing I heard from my very first coach, Carl Rizzuto. And he was on, I don't know, you were doing a panel at the same time, but he and I did this like live objection handling. And it was like Yoda and then like just doing like this Jedi mind tricks. I mean, he's amazing at it, way better than me. I'm a little more demonstrative, but I mean, I almost like signed a listing contract with him at the session. He's that good. So he said gifts. I think I added the beautiful part just to give credit where credit is due.
But it's your opportunity then to take the skills, take the training that you've been going through every single day and put them into action. That's why they're such a gift. That's why they're beautiful, because you can use everything you've been doing in that moment.
And the majority of people shy away from them. They get nervous. They don't know what to say. I mean, what's a classic one? I don't want to give the home away. hey, great, that's never happened in the history of real estate.
Right.
No one has ever done that before, so I will make sure that doesn't happen to you. And you move on and handle the next question. People they're like, oh, I can't believe they said this again. Well, you're not handling it right.
That's right. That's right. Especially if you hear it over and over again. All right. Love for you guys to leave some comments in the comment box, no matter where you're listening or watching this. Also, if you haven't subscribed to this YouTube channel, please hit the subscribe button and look in the links, the description rather, for Tom's links, and check out his channel as well. See you guys.